The bedroom door creaked open, and Margaret froze in place. Her heart collapsed as her eyes fell on the scene before her: Daniel, her husband of 10 years, lying in the arms of Grace, the nanny. Their bodies were tangled, their breathing heavy, and in that instant, Margaret felt the sharpest cut of betrayal. Her voice trembled as she called out, "Daniel, wake up! Wake up now!" He stirred, blinking into the nightmare of reality. Grace bolted upright, clutching the sheets to her chest, eyes wide with terror. Then Margaret's voice erupted into a scream that tore through the room. "In my bed? In my house? With her?" She grabbed the lamp from the nightstand and hurled it against the floor, glass exploding in every direction. Daniel stammered, "Margaret, please, it's not what it looks like." But she cut him off sharply, her voice breaking under rage. "Don't you dare! I see it with my own eyes. Tell me, Daniel, how long? How long have you been humiliating me?" The silence that followed was more painful than words. His jaw tightened. Grace trembled under the weight of the moment. Margaret screamed louder, "Answer me!" And then it came. Daniel's voice, low and bitter. "Months." Before we continue this story, I just want to take a moment to thank all of you who have been following and supporting this channel. Your encouragement keeps these stories alive. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next chapter. Please give this video a thumbs up, drop a comment to share how you feel about the story so far, and share it with friends and family. Now, let's get back to the drama. The word hit her like a blow. Her knees nearly gave way. "Months," she cried, her voice cracking. "You've been in my bed with her for months while I've been breaking my back for this family." Daniel snapped back, his tone sharp, his eyes burning. "For this family? Or for your father's company? Don't you dare pretend this was for me, Margaret. You abandoned me long before this. I begged you for time, for affection, for anything, and all I got was the cold glow of your laptop." Margaret pointed a shaking hand at Grace. "So this is your answer to loneliness? The nanny?" Daniel's voice rose, defiant now. "Don't call her that. Grace has been here for me when you weren't. She listened. She cared." Her words hissed back through clenched teeth. "You disgust me." The room thickened with tension. Daniel's chest rose and fell, his eyes locked on hers. Then his voice steadied, almost calm. "There's something else you need to know. Grace is pregnant." The words shattered Margaret. She gasped, clutching the wall as her world spun. Shaking her head violently, she spat out, "No. That ends tonight. That child will not exist. Not in my house. Not in my family." Daniel's fury boiled over. "That child? That's my baby, Margaret. My only child." Margaret's voice cut sharper, venom dripping from each word. "You want a child with her? Then prepare to lose everything. Either you send her away and end this pregnancy, or you lose me. You lose this marriage. You lose the life my father gave you." She leaned in, her eyes burning with a deadly certainty. "Don't forget, you work for my father. The billionaire who owns the company that pays your salary. Cross me, Daniel, and you'll have nothing. Nothing." Daniel stood frozen, rage and despair locked in battle within him. Grace wept quietly, clutching her stomach, her sobs the only sound in the room. And in that moment, the war line was drawn. The next morning, the house felt like a battlefield. Silence hung thick in the air, broken only by Margaret's clipped footsteps pacing the living room. Daniel sat on the edge of the sofa, head buried in his hands. Grace remained upstairs, her sobs muffled behind the closed bedroom door. Margaret's voice sliced through the silence. "I told you last night, Daniel. It's either her and that baby, or me and this marriage. Daniel looked up, eyes red with exhaustion. Margaret, please. Think about what you're asking. You're telling me to kill my own child. Her lips curled into a bitter sneer. Don't call it that. You've disgraced me, Daniel. Do you think I'll walk into society events, into my father's boardrooms, and carry the shame of my husband's affair with a nanny? No. Not while I breathe. Before Daniel could respond, the sound of the front door opening cut through the air. Heavy footsteps followed, purposeful, commanding. Then came the voice Daniel dreaded most. What is this I'm hearing, Daniel? Margaret's father, the billionaire, the man who built the empire Daniel worked for, stood in the doorway, his presence filling the room like a storm cloud. His tailored suit was as sharp as the glare in his eyes. Daniel rose slowly, his throat dry. Sir, I... The older man cut him off. Do not speak. Not yet. He turned to his daughter. Tell me everything. Margaret's words poured out, each one heavy with fury. She told him about the betrayal, about the affair, about the pregnancy. Every sentence felt like another chain tightening around Daniel's neck. When she was finished, her father turned back to Daniel. His voice was cold steel. You work for me, Daniel. You sit in a chair I gave you. You eat from a table I built. And you dare humiliate my daughter under my roof. Daniel clenched his fists, forcing himself to stand tall. With all due respect, sir, this is between Margaret and me. It's our marriage, not your business. The older man's eyes narrowed. Your marriage? You think you have the luxury of separation here? That child, that woman upstairs, this isn't about your marriage. This is about the reputation of my family. If you think you can drag our name through the mud, you are mistaken. Margaret folded her arms, her eyes blazing with triumph. Tell him, Daddy. Tell him what happens if he refuses. The billionaire's voice grew harder, each word heavy as stone. Fire the nanny. End this pregnancy. Or lose your job. And trust me, Daniel, once you lose my company, no one in this city will hire you again. Not with my name attached to your disgrace. Daniel's chest tightened. His entire life, his career, his future, all of it balanced on the edge of this ultimatum. He thought of Grace upstairs, crying, carrying his only child. He thought of Margaret, unyielding, venom dripping from her every word. And he thought of the man standing before him, the father-in-law who held his career in the palm of his hand. So those are my choices? Daniel asked quietly. Abandon my child, betray Grace, and live as a puppet in your world, or lose everything. Margaret's father leaned forward, his voice low and final. Yes. Those are your choices. And just like that, Daniel's dilemma grew darker than he ever imagined. The days that followed were hell. Margaret became relentless. She no longer hid her contempt, and every word she spoke to Daniel dripped with venom. The house once filled with warmth had become a prison of icy stares and cutting remarks. Grace, once a quiet presence in the background, was now a target of constant humiliation. At breakfast, Margaret would slam plates onto the table, her eyes locked on Grace. Eat quickly, she sneered, you'll need your strength for the clinic. Don't think this pregnancy is staying. Grace's hands trembled as she lifted her cup, eyes glistening with unshed tears. Daniel's fists clenched under the table, but he said nothing. Later, in hushed moments, he would whisper to her upstairs. Hold on, Grace. Please, just hold on. I'll find a way out of this. But Margaret's father made sure there was no way out. Phone calls came to Daniel's office. Warnings disguised as advice. Meetings ended with veiled threats. Even colleagues who once smiled at him now looked away, as though associating with him would taint their careers. One afternoon, Daniel sat in the boardroom across from his father-in-law, the older man's voice calm but merciless. "I hope you're not foolish enough to think you have options. Grace must go. The child must go. Otherwise, you're finished." Daniel met his gaze, his voice firm though his insides churned. "And if I don't?" The billionaire leaned back, a smirk tugging at the corner of his lips. "Then I'll bury you. No man defies me and survives in this industry." That night, Daniel returned home late, his tie loosened, his face weary. He found Margaret waiting at the door, her arms crossed. "So," she demanded, "did you finally tell Grace she's leaving? Or do I have to do it myself?" Daniel's voice cracked, exhaustion weighing down every syllable. "Margaret, she's carrying my child. How can you be so cold? That's my flesh and blood." Margaret's laughter was sharp, cruel. "Flesh and blood? Don't make me laugh. That woman is nothing. And whatever she's carrying won't be allowed to exist." Grace appeared in the hallway then, her face pale, her eyes swollen from crying. She whispered, "Why are you doing this to me? I've done nothing but serve this house." Margaret spun on her, her voice like venom. "Serve this house? You served yourself. You trapped my husband. Don't play the victim with me." Daniel stepped between them, his voice rising for the first time. "Enough. Stop persecuting her. Stop treating her like she's less than human. This is on me, Margaret. I made the mistake. Punish me, not her." Margaret's eyes narrowed, her voice dropping to a cold whisper. "Oh, I am punishing you, Daniel. Every second. And until you do what I demand, it won't stop." Grace broke down, sobbing as she fled upstairs, leaving Daniel standing in the hallway with his wife's words echoing in his ears. He was a man trapped between two fires, the woman he once vowed to love, backed by her billionaire father's power, and the woman carrying his only child, crushed under daily torment. Each day the pressure mounted. Each day the noose tightened. And Daniel knew, sooner or later, he would be forced to choose. The walls of the house seemed to close in tighter with every passing day. Margaret's sharp words, her father's threats, Grace's quiet sobs, they echoed in Daniel's mind until silence became unbearable. One evening, Margaret cornered him in the study. Papers from her father's company were spread across the desk, reminders of the power that chained him. "Have you made your decision?" she asked coldly. "Grace is gone by the end of this week. And the baby with her. Or you're done." Daniel rose from his chair slowly, his hands trembling but his eyes blazing with something Margaret had not seen in years, defiance. "Do you hear yourself, Margaret?" he said, his voice rising. "You've turned this house into a battlefield. You've treated Grace like trash, and you expect me to destroy my only child to make you comfortable." Margaret slammed her hand against the desk. "Your only child? That thing is an embarrassment. Do you think anyone will respect us once they know you got the nanny pregnant? My father won't allow it. And neither will I." Daniel stepped closer, his jaw tight, his voice shaking with fury. "And what about me, Margaret? What about my needs? My heart? I begged you for attention. I begged you for time. You pushed me away. You left me cold. And when I finally found warmth, even if it was wrong, at least it was real." Margaret's face twisted, a mix of rage and disbelief. "Real? Don't insult me, Daniel. She's nothing. A servant. A mistake." Suddenly, Grace appeared in the doorway, her face pale but her voice steady. "Stop calling me that. I never wanted this to happen. I never wanted to come between you. But I will not let you erase this child. This is my baby too." Margaret's glare shifted to her like a blade. "Then you'll leave with nothing. You'll walk out of this house, and you'll never step foot near us again." Grace's voice broke. "And if I refuse?" Margaret's father stepped into the room then, his presence suffocating. His tone was calm, but every word cut like steel. "Then Daniel pays the price. I'll take his job, his reputation, his future. You won't have a penny to raise that child. Do you understand?" The room fell silent. Grace lowered her head, tears streaming down her face. Daniel's fists shook at his sides. He looked at Margaret, at her father, and finally at Grace. His voice cracked under the weight of despair. "You want me to choose? Fine. But understand this, I will never abandon my child. Never." Margaret's eyes widened. "So you'd throw away everything? Your career? Your marriage? The life we built?" Daniel's voice was hoarse, but unyielding. "What life, Margaret? The one where I'm your father's puppet. The one where I'm a stranger in my own home. I won't live like this anymore." For the first time, Margaret faltered. But her father stepped forward, his voice a thunderclap. "Then prepare to lose everything, Daniel. Everything." The breaking point had come. And from this moment forward, nothing would ever be the same. The storm broke quickly. The very next morning, Daniel walked into his office only to find his security badge deactivated. His name had already been scrubbed from the company directory. No warnings. No appeals. Just silence from everyone he once called colleagues. When he demanded an explanation, a single letter awaited him: termination effective immediately. Signed by his father-in-law himself. His phone buzzed with messages from banks, lawyers, and creditors. Joint accounts were frozen. His access to company benefits revoked. Even business contacts who once praised him now avoided his calls, afraid of crossing the billionaire's shadow. At home, the persecution turned brutal. Margaret tightened her grip, watching his every move. At dinner, she taunted him, her voice like poison. "Look at you, Daniel. No job, no income, no future." Was she worth it? Grace tried to stay strong, but the constant pressure broke her spirit. She was shouted at, insulted, treated like a criminal in the house she once served. More than once, Margaret sneered across the table, "You'll lose that baby. One way or another." One night, Daniel found Grace sitting alone in the nursery that was never hers, her face buried in her hands. She whispered through tears, "I don't think I can do this anymore, Daniel. They'll destroy me. They'll destroy us." Daniel knelt beside her, gripping her hands tightly. His voice was low, but every word carried fire. "Listen to me. They can take my job, they can take their house, they can even drag my name through the mud. But they will not take you. And they will not take our child." Grace looked at him, fear and love warring in her eyes. "But how, Daniel? Your wife hates me. Her father is too powerful. We're nothing compared to them." Daniel's jaw tightened, his resolve unshakable. "Then we'll leave. We'll walk away from this prison. We'll start over, far from their control. I'd rather be broke and free than rich and chained." But Margaret was listening from her hallway. Her voice cut through the air like a knife. "Leave? With her? And what will you live on, Daniel? Love? Dreams? Don't be pathetic. Without my father's name, you are nothing." Daniel turned toward her, his voice rising with a fury he could no longer contain. "Then watch me become something without you. Watch me prove you wrong." Margaret's eyes narrowed, her lips curling into a cruel smile. "You'll regret this, Daniel. Both of you will." The fallout was complete. Daniel had lost his career, his reputation, and the comfort of wealth. But in the ashes of everything destroyed, a new fire began to burn, his determination to protect Grace and their unborn child, no matter the cost. The lines of war were no longer blurred. They were etched in stone. The house felt colder than ever. Every corner seemed to whisper threats, every shadow carried Margaret's scorn, and every phone call echoed her father's power. Daniel stood by the window late into the night, staring at the city lights. His reflection stared back at him, a man stripped of everything except the love he carried for Grace and the child she bore. Grace stepped into the room quietly, her hand resting on her growing belly. Her voice was fragile. "I can't stay here, Daniel. Every day feels like a battle I'm losing. If you want me to go, I'll go. Just, don't let them hurt the baby." He turned, his eyes filled with both pain and fire. "No, Grace. You're not leaving alone. If you go, I go. We'll leave together." But before he could say more, the door burst open. Margaret stood there, her father just behind her. Their faces were masks of triumph. Her father's voice rumbled through the room. "This is your last chance, Daniel. Fire her. End this pregnancy. Or you'll be ruined beyond repair." Margaret added, her tone sharp and cutting. "Choose wisely. A nanny with nothing, or a wife with everything." Daniel's chest heaved as the weight of the ultimatum crushed down on him. He looked at Margaret, the woman who once vowed love but now spat venom. He looked at her father, the man who had given him wealth but chained him in control. Then he turned to Grace, the woman who gave him compassion when he was starving for it, the woman carrying his only child. Silence filled the room, so heavy it felt like time itself had stopped. Finally, Daniel spoke. His voice was steady, his decision clear. "I choose her. I choose Grace. And I choose my child." Margaret gasped, her face twisting in rage. "You fool! Do you know what you've done? You'll lose everything." Daniel stepped forward, his eyes burning with conviction. "Then let it be so. Because everything I had here was already nothing." Her father's voice boomed like thunder. "Then you are finished. By tomorrow, no one will hire you. No one will respect you. You'll be a ghost in this city." Daniel met his glare without flinching. "I'd rather be a ghost with my child than a slave in your empire." Grace clutched his hand tightly, tears streaming down her face. For the first time in weeks, they both felt a flicker of hope, fragile, but real. Margaret's scream echoed through their halls. "Get out. Both of you. Get out of my house and never return." Daniel didn't hesitate. He took Grace's hand, and together they walked past Margaret and her father. Every step was heavy with loss, but every step was also freedom. Outside, the night was cold, but the stars stretched wide above them. For the first time, Daniel felt air in his lungs that wasn't poisoned by power and control. They had nothing left, but in that nothing, they had each other. And a child who would be born not into chains, but into love. The final decision had been made. If you love this story and would want to listen to the next episode, please comment next in the comment section, and hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell to get notified when the next video drops. Thank you.